Welcome to My Hometown, the program that explores clubs, organizations, businesses, and issues across Nassau and Suffolk counties and sheds light on the different towns that are making a difference.
Hello and welcome to My Hometown. I'm Bill Horan, along with my co-host, Stacy, Raine.
Bill, I know our show airs on Thursdays, but today we'll be winning on Wednesday.
Wait, Wednesday was the other day.
Exactly. And that's when the winning happens, according to today's guest. Today, we're going to learn all about Winning on Wednesday, a virtual business networking platform that meets by Zoom every Wednesday. They prioritize building meaningful relationships to help businesses grow and expand networking opportunities. So, Bill, are you ready to be wowed?
I am. Today, we're going to talk to Juan Vides, the principal and founder of Winning on Wednesday. Juan, welcome to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
First of all, just a personal note. I want to tell you, I think this is a great idea. I've been getting your emails for a while and sending them out to friends saying, this is great. So I want you to fill us in on the background, but I personally love it. But tell us where you grew up, and have you always been an entrepreneur?
No. I mean, I'll take it way back. I actually grew up in, I was born in El Salvador, which is Central America. I came here when I was 4 years old. I was escaping the war. There was a civil war in El Salvador. Came here when I was 4 years old, and I came here. English was not my first language. Actually, Spanish was. So it was. Was in the bilingual school. Got to go through that. So I've been through a lot of stuff, and it makes me more resilient. And as an entrepreneur, you have to be resilient. You know what I mean? And you go through a lot of stuff. And I've been in business now for over 25 years. So I've been doing digital marketing, and then naturally that's how I, as an entrepreneur, I had opportunities to network, and I've learned that networking is very, very valuable. It's who you know. I always say people do business who they know, like,
we
and
definitely
trust.
know that. Yes,
that's absolutely true. So let's get into this business that you have, this Winning on Wednesdays. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure, and it's weekly, by the way. It's every week. So we've been doing this every week for 6 years. Think about that. It's very commitments. Consistency. I always say consistency is key in marketing. So if you meet every week, think about it, and you build a relationship with these people because you get to know them. It feels like Cheers, a place where everybody knows your name. When you come in and feel the comfort level of people and just like-minded individuals. And I love that. And with Winning on Wednesday, I've had to build a lot of opportunities for myself and everybody else in my group, my own tribe, in my own community.
Now, if I'm correct, in the way I read it when I get the email, each Wednesday, naturally.
Every week.
There's a Zoom meeting.
Correct.
That people, and I guess it can be literally across the world, probably mostly Long Island.
Yep.
You did say there were people from outside the area.
Correct. We first started in meeting in restaurants. This was, almost 6 years ago. And then when COVID happened, we all went and moved over to Zoom. And it was wild at those times because we had about 90 people on the call, and it was crazy because there was the uncertainty, right? What was going on, and it was just amazing.
Are the same people showing up every week, or is it always different people, so you never know who you're going to meet? You
know what? We have our core people. We got about 10 or 12 core people. There are, but they're there always. But then we get a lot of new people, absolutely.
Now, I'm just thinking, and I'm not a technical person, but a Zoom, would you have to have a limit? Like, in other words, after you exceed X number of people on the screen, is that too many? Or
well, they start charging you more. So, after 100, you go from I have a pro plan, a business plan, enterprise plan. So it's different plans that you go with Zoom depending on your. I think it's 500. I think the most I've ever hosted was about 400.
Really? There's that? Oh my gosh!
But not through Winning on Wednesday. It was through another organization.
Oh, okay. Because I picture this as being a group of maybe 15 to 25. I don't know if I'm right.
Yeah.
I'm just picturing it that way.
Yeah, 20. Yeah, we get a weekly 25 people on a weekly call.
Because that's what I guess a networking meeting would be. Correct. As the Zoom.
And then what we do is we do an icebreaker every week, which is called the question of the week. And then each person goes into breakout rooms. We do speed networking. It's like 3 or 4 breakout rooms in an hour, and there's about 3 to 4 people in a room. It's very intimate. And, you get to know the person. And what's nice about this is that after 10 minutes, you go to the next room. And it goes to the next room. And it's nice because you don't get caught sometimes because networking, you get caught with those people that they're nice, sincere, but they're not committed. They don't want to do business with you, but they're nice people, but you don't want to, you want to use your time very valuable.
Right.
Give us, I'm sorry to interrupt, Stacy, but give us one of the questions, the icebreaker questions, so in case we're there.
It's all business related.
Yeah.
So one of them is, what's your goal in the next 5 years? What's your goal for the next year? What's an AI product do you use? Well, how are you using, for your business? It's all business related. What apps do you use for your business?
Could you answer that, Stacy?
Yeah, and I like that question because, it's an icebreaker, first of all, but it might give me as a business owner ideas for what other business owners are doing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's very educational. I feel that Winning on Wednesday, I'm going to sum it up, it's like a water cooler talk, and it's everybody's supportive. So if you want to stop by with a water cooler, that's it. Winning on Wednesday, we're a water cooler, but it's all business related.
Yeah, it sounds like fun to me.
It is.
Sounds like you're going to meet some pretty dynamic people.
And we have some great sponsors for Winning on Wednesday. We have PPAC Bank that just came in, and they're a $9 billion bank, M&T Bank, and Jovia Financial Credit Union. And we're also working with some universities, working with Brooklyn College, Pratt Institute, and NYIT. And with NYIT last semester, we had a 10-week program teaching the students how to network.
Wow.
Wow. No pun intended. Wow.
Yeah.
No Winning on Wednesday.
We're
Wow.
both going wow. And
Winning on Wednesday.
Quick change my word, but
Correct.
That's, I guess, why I like it so much, because I think that's so excellent.
Yeah, thank you.
So.
Well, I'm just curious, where this all began. You said you've been an entrepreneur for a long time, so I would love to hear a little bit about your journey all the way up until starting this networking event.
I mean, it's a lot of, trial and error, doing a lot of, I've always worked in different places when I was younger. I was, my first job, was newspapers, right? Working for the penny savers. So then after that, I was 14, I was a busboy waiter, and then a dining room captain. I did catering, and then I was a manager. Always like leadership roles. I've always had leadership roles within, smaller, things. So with Trader Joe's, I did 7 years as a manager for Trader Joe's. Yep.
Yeah, I always thought that'd be a fun place to work.
And it is. It was great. But my other calling was technology. I love technology, so I went back to school for Farmingdale, and then and I went to Nassau too. So Nassau, I'm a graduate.
Proud
alumni.
graduate.
Yeah, proud
Ring the bell.
Yeah,
We
bing,
need a
bing,
bell.
alumni. Yes, graduated in '97 in Nassau. So.
We should bring you back for talks here about the Winning on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Because really, for people, I found a lot of my friends, I was in the legal profession, but a lot of my friends are terrible at marketing and getting the message out.
Yeah.
And I know friends who have spent a lot of money on a beautiful office. They actually had a commercial made up, but they never told their clients.
Yeah.
And nobody ever watched it.
And this is what makes us different from any other networking group. We are not one per industry. We're everybody. Everybody's welcome. That we like to promote and spotlight our members. We have about a 5,000 email distribution with a 68% open rate.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
so
great.
we have a great open rate, and that's why we have a loyal following. And from this spawned the podcast show, because it's also included with the membership. Once you purchase the membership, you get a 15-minute podcast show that gets fully edited and put on YouTube and social media. And by the way, my social media reach right now is up to 35,000. You could go on LinkedIn right now. I got 20,000 followers on LinkedIn, just alone on LinkedIn.
That's even more friends than Stacy has. That's really good, 35,000.
And listen, LinkedIn is now the place to be for business, because that's serious. I'm not knocking the other social medias, but as a business entrepreneur, that's where you really need to be. There's other also communities in like Facebook communities and other groups like that, but it's very hard. But I think LinkedIn is more focused on business.
I feel like you have a game that you haven't let us in on to see how many times we can say wow in this show.
Exactly. Wow.
I bet that would be fun. You do a lot of these podcasts and interviews.
Right.
And to keep track of it afterward and say, Bill and Stacy, you won. You said it 32 times. Or you lost. You only said it 6 times. But it does keep coming up in one form or another. So.
And that's a wow card. I'm just showing you. And
I got an official wow. I don't know what this is entitled. Do I get a free cup of coffee?
Absolutely.
All right.
And I just want to say real quick with the logo, if you'll see the logo, when you go to Winning on Wednesday, you'll see the logo. When you turn it upside down, it's magnets. If you see the magnets, the W's are magnets, believe it or not. And there's lightning, which is, and the O is for opportunity, and the lightning bulb. So that's what Winning on Wednesday is all about.
Man, he really thought this out. I like it.
And I think when you deal with someone like yourself, and at least I found, I enjoy talking to new people. My wife thinks I'm crazy. Why are you always talking to those people? I never know where I get an idea from, or just a stimulating thought. It doesn't have to make me money. Sometimes I'm talking to someone and they say something, and it's like, I never thought of that position that way. It might be about a ball team, a politician, a religion, or just the season that we're in, Christmas, Easter, whatever. There's so many new ideas you get from others.
We never stop learning. And I think people, they said, who are intelligent, tend to always learn. You know what I mean? That we never stop learning, and I think I love it. You know, you have to enjoy. You have to have a passion for it.
And we can see you definitely do.
I was going to say before you said that, I'm just one that loves learning new things. That's why I love doing this show with Bill so much, because every week we get to learn something new. And that seems, now I feel like I'm just fishing for compliments from you because you said I must be intelligent. However, it feels like if I were to go on Winning on Wednesday, that's basically what you're doing is you're just learning from other people. You're asking these great questions to kick it off. You're in a room with just a few people. You get a chance to talk to them. You might not have that opportunity otherwise.
Right. And you're really there to win friends, really, ultimately. You're there to win friends, because think about this. Wouldn't you, right now, your best friend calls you up right now and says, my car broke down. Can you come and pick me up? Wouldn't you just drop everything and go pick up? You know, that's your best friend. Yeah. You would do anything, go out of your way for your friends. So you want to build up to that, you know. But how do you do that with a stranger? But you know, it takes time. You got to water that plant in order to grow.
I'm just going to do an experiment. Would you pick me up if my car broke down? If I called you up out of the blue?
Let me think about it.
I'm making a new best friend. That's it.
I got your back. Don't worry. I
think I'd call you first.
Yeah, sure.
She took too long. I'm not relying.
You get the bad phone, the bad signal. I'll be there.
Yeah, okay.
Well, you know, one thing I'm wondering is, I'm guessing, how long did you say you've been doing this networking event? 6 years now. So there's probably been many really cool partnerships that began right in this networking group.
Yeah, there has been a lot, and it's just the first one I could just think of off the top of my head was just the working with the students, you know, having with that. And also, I can't forget, I have to give a shout out to NAWIC, which is the National Women of Construction, and Jennifer Bell, the president, working with them. And they had open opportunities. I'm also very a component of women advocacy. You know, working with women. We work with Jovia Financial Credit Union. We did a women's award in 2024. We had over 90 people that day at Jovia. It was great. We were honoring women. So it was a great event that we had. These are the type of things that we do in community, but it also helps out with the business because it gets exposure. You know, we promote and honor and spotlight our members.
You just said a word that I really, really value, and that's community. And I get the sense sometimes that there are people that feel like they are lacking community. They don't know where to find it. Sometimes we go to work and we don't really talk to a lot of people. We go home and that's kind of it for our entire week. But events like this really do help you build your community. Think
about this. I started with my community with 6 people at a pizza place, and just said, "Well, meet once a week." It's the consistency that works, and the marketing and this frequency. You know, you got to keep doing over and over, and people give up usually. But think about it. I've been doing this now for 6 years, every week.
You seem like really and the perfect person for this because, first of all, with your background, it seems like you've covered a lot of areas, so you can appreciate what the construction person, the food services person, the office person goes through and is looking for.
Correct.
And it can kind of fit into their mold and help them out with their job. So I think that's definitely an asset. I think I read that you've interviewed over 100 CEOs.
Correct. Yeah, 100 CEOs, yeah.
Is there something that stands out from them, that either a lesson you learned or an oddball or just somebody who was really great?
You know, I guess all of them have the same theme, you know, which they've always learned a lesson. And the lesson, they have different lessons, different paths. But I think it's you know, taking the value and the best of all of them. I would say it's just learning from your experience. You know, that's how I learn, how we all learn, you know, and sharing those experiences of, you know, the failures. Yes, you're going to make mistakes, you know, it's okay to make mistakes. So, you know, but in order to be where I am, it took a lot of mistakes, thousands of mistakes to be where I am right now.
But look, that you admitted that too.
Yeah.
And a new and up and coming entrepreneur
Correct.
realizes that. That's great.
I think that's really great advice to tell people. Like, mistakes are okay. We're kind of trained early
Correct.
on that you're not supposed to make a single mistake, and that's not realistic. Making mistakes is
Correct.
exactly how you learn. I want to take a minute to remind our listeners that you are listening to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Stacy Raine here with Bill Horan, and today we are learning about Winning on Wednesday, a virtual business networking platform that meets by Zoom every Wednesday. They prioritize building meaningful professional relationships to help businesses grow and expand networking opportunities. Our guest today is Juan Vides, the principal and founder of Winning on Wednesday. One thing, Juan, that I want to talk about is the biggest lesson that you've learned in creating this networking event. I know you told me that it came from an earlier business and something that you felt like you needed.
Right.
I'm sure there's been big lessons.
Yes, they've, and again, you just said it. It just accepting and making sure you don't do those same mistakes again twice. Learning from your mistakes. I think that's the most important lesson I've learned is not to make the same mistakes twice, and learning from your mistakes and taking those, lost opportunities, bad opportunities, or bad whatever, and taking a negative and turning it into a positive.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Juan, if I joined your group, or if, let's say I was just meeting you, walking down a hallway, what do you do, sir? And you tell me, and we exchange a little information. You have the elevator pitch, 20 or 30 seconds. What problem would I solve by seriously joining your group? Not just that you want another member, but why is it good for me and for you?
I think one of the benefits right off the bat that I tell people is that we would like to interview you. I think with a podcast interview, because not a lot of people, they don't know how to tell the story, or they don't know how to tell the story. And we can help them with that, because everybody has a story. And that story, we could turn it into a selling point to help you win customers.
And honestly, that's so true. People I talk to don't realize things about themselves till we start talking, and I'll say to them, that's the title of your next book, or that's a great saying. And after the show, we can talk about it, and we won't bore the audience with that now. But
I'm curious where you came up with the name Winning on Wednesday.
It was through the group of people we just, of entrepreneurs that we just started in the beginning. We just started what could be a good name, and somebody said, Winning on Wednesday, or wow. And I just took the ball and ran with it. It was a group of people. It was just kind of like a brainstorm thing. It was kind of we were just all kind of like, it was a group effort, I think. It wasn't just one person, because everybody had different ideas. And that's sometimes what you need to do. You need to have a group of friends to share ideas. That you have a new business idea, a new thing that you want to do. Get a group of friends and talk about them.
Is there a memorable success story between a couple of your members or yourself, or in the mix there, that you'd like to share with us?
Of course, my personal one, I have to say, I worked with I guess as I mentioned it earlier, I was working with the women in construction. I helped them. I interviewed the president, the vice president, and I helped. They invited me to their gala. And in their gala, I got to meet a lot of people in the construction world, which actually I never thought in a million years I would be pivoting to. So that would be another segment, which would be another company that I am starting, which not really, but it's just re-pivoting my company, basically.
Isn't that great?
Mm-hmm. And I did that through Winning on Wednesday.
Is there an ideal member for Winning on Wednesday? Who are you looking for?
Oh, wow. We have a bunch. I don't want to single out a lot of people, but there are so many. We have podcasters, lawyers. We got so many people. I don't want to single out. You put me in a bad. It's like saying, who's your favorite kid?
Right. No, and I mean, like, is there a type of person that you think this is the person that needs to be in this group?
If you're genuine, sincere, and kind, and honest and truthful, we want you. We want the sincere and genuine. We don't want the fakes and the phonies, or we're there for the leads. We're there to help one another, especially these times where it's uncertainties right now with inflation and everything else going on.
Right.
If you're having a bad day, come to Winning on Wednesday, and I guarantee you, in 1 hour, the people will re-energize you, and you'll feel so much better after Winning on Wednesday. I'll tell you, I've had the worst day of my life, and going into my own show, it's like therapy.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly, and I didn't know you were going to say that, but I think that's very, very true. And in fact, I knew someone in my field that he joined a lot of these networking groups. And in that era, you actually went to a lunch or a breakfast or a night meeting or something. So he was going to, I'm going to say 3 or 4 a month. And he enjoyed them, and he was very good at it. He kind of knew the rules of the game, etc. But personally, I think it's the person who says, oh, that's not for me, who could even add more and get more from it, because they're not in 4 groups. They're not hearing 4 different voices. They hear from someone like yourself, and something you say inspires them, maybe the word community, maybe marketing, maybe sales, and all of a sudden, if they adopt that.
It's a spark. It's that spark, that initial spark that happens all the time within a conversation. Is that energy and that,
And our audience can't see it, but you just picked up your card and showed the lightning bolt and said the spark. But it's so true. All you have to do, and sometimes you walk away from a conversation, you say, what did he say to me? I'm really not marketing my product. I'm not really stressing the sales, or I got away from that, or I'm not keeping good, whatever the problem is. So,
have you, as the founder of this group, has there been any big challenges? I know you said you started before COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Then you had to figure that out, but that kind of turned into a positive.
Yep. It's definitely a lesson learned. Think about it. We've been doing this 6 years. When we first started, I didn't know what I was doing. I've never started my own networking group. And then from starting your own community, there's a lot of people didn't get along, a lot of drama, a lot of stuff that you had to deal with. And remember, when I was doing this, I was doing it for free because it was COVID. We had some uncertainties. So I was doing it almost like helping the public, and we used to get 100 people. But we used to have a lot of people that were like, taking up dead, space, room, taking a lot of energy, and they were just a bad vibe, So then it's interesting. The minute that I started and moved it into a membership, we lost half of our audience. Like half of them were gone.
Were you worried about that?
Not really, because the people that I wanted to keep were the ones that paid, the ones that like I mentioned, the dead weights, the one that were taking up space. They just they're not just draining energy, just there to complain and not paying. They were gone.
It was the people that really brought benefit.
So all my headaches were simply gone. And then what happened was. So then naturally just doing that, and it just took time. It took time, and then it just kind of rebuilding again. But it's been good. I think it's been positive now because the quality of people that we have. I mean, you could come to my networking group right now, and you'll see the quality of people that we have is just so refreshing. It's always nice to see them. It's like you get the energy. You look forward to see them, and a lot of people are like, I'm looking forward to see them on Wednesday.
Yeah, I think it's really neat that it is every single week. So without fail, you can know I can go to this networking event. I don't have to look at my calendar and figure out when I can go and schedule 4 events at different times to get different people there. No, it is every Wednesday. It's going to be at the same time.
Yep.
And, people can build it into their schedules.
I'm going to put something in perspective. Think about the people that you know for 10 years. How many times have you met them in person, or how many times have you had conversation with them? People, the average say for 10 years, 50 times. So think about it. There's 52 weeks in a year, and if we do meet every week on a weekly basis, 52 weeks in a year, it's almost equivalent to 10 years. We feel comfortable. I know you. It feels that level, almost like knowing you for 10 years.
It's funny when you say that, and I'm going to tell you a personal story about Stacy. A couple of months ago, I met her husband. First time, and we only talked, maybe 20 minutes at a Christmas party. Just in an off-the-cuff comment, he said something that was literally life-changing for me. And he didn't know. It was just a comment almost like the weather. But some of those things do come out, and I find now I'll do something with a group, or I'll talk to someone, and I'll look for the most positive thing out of there that I can take away, and didn't that make me feel good? That person is joining a club that's helping people in need, or the food bank or something like that. So it sounds like that's what your group is doing.
That also helps out the branding, of course. It helps their branding as well, and their exposure as again. And also, I forgot to mention that we also, as a membership, you also get an additional interview, which is 10-4. All our members get to do a 10-minute presentation recorded, and it gets distributed on social media and YouTube and everything. So and it's on our website. It's called 10-4. So that stays. We meet with 10-4. We do that once a month, where our members get to do a 10-minute presentation.
Yours gets better and better. I mean, I've heard of networking groups, but I think what you offer the people, and I'm not saying it just because you're here, but I think a lot of people get into that and say, how is it going to help my business?
Correct.
And if you go to the meetings, if you do that 10-4 project, I think it almost has to help you if you have any skill at what you do, and I'm assuming that most of the people do.
10 minutes for so that's what 10-4 is like the expression is 10-4 is like, okay, we got it. So a lot of people were saying they wanted more, so we gave them this. We listened to our members. It's really important to listen to your community, listen to your members, listen to your tribe, because that's how you're going to make it successful. And that's how I made Winning on Wednesday successful, asking every visitor, how has it been, customer experience, how do we make it better? That's how we made Winning on Wednesday better, by listening to our visitors and guests. They're not necessarily members. Remember, all our visitors and guests, I personally call them and ask them, how was it? How can we make it better?
My doctor does this, the hospital, but do you remember one visitor who said something to you and you said, you're absolutely right, and it turned you around? Not turned it around, but was a major change?
Yes.
What was that?
It gave me the confidence that I was doing. Just to say, they keep on doing what you're doing. Keep on giving, like almost like they're become the coach to me. They're like, keep going, Juan, keep going. You're doing great, Juan. Do it. That's the confidence that I get from all my members to keep this going, because there's been a lot of times I just wanted to throw in the towel.
Wow.
And I guess a lot of us, right? I mean,
another wow. But another wow. But you know what? It's the consistency, the resiliency. And being an entrepreneur is not easy. And that's why you got to stay with the stake, and most people can't stay that long.
I think Stacy wants to be a marketing director. She'll keep going, wow. She'll get a T-shirt that says
wow.
A little cap that says wow, all those good things.
Yeah. I'm curious. So you said the meetings start off with an icebreaker, which I loved your ideas for questions on that for the entrepreneurs. Then you do the breakout rooms with 3 or 4 people.
Correct.
How do the meetings, are they an hour long?
Yeah, an hour long. And it goes by so quick. At the hour, you feel like it's like 10 minutes. Where did it go?
Yeah. And then how do you wrap up? Do you close it out? Or?
Of course. I open it, I close it. And we have, and here's a cool thing. The question of the week gets asked and introduced every time we go into a breakout room by our members. So if you're a member of Winning on Wednesday, you get a chance to introduce yourself and say the question of the week. So only our members say that. So we do 4 breakout rooms, 4 to 5 breakout rooms. So 4 different members get an opportunity. So we get new guests. They listen to our members, and then they go into the breakout rooms, obviously, and they get a chance to meet with them.
That's a bigger thing for a lot of people, because Stacy and I are talkers, obviously. This is what we do. And she talks a lot more than I do, because she just did another 2-hour show. I'm not making fun of you. I'm just saying you're skilled. But there are a lot of people who really don't know what to say. They could watch a building fall down and say, what's happening? Oh, nothing. And just to have this as, I'm going to call it social currency.
Yes.
Because you build up a conversation and you never know where it leads.
Right.
You get a few sentences in, and that person's looking for a good accountant or a person in the restaurant business, etc. So
I think the most important thing I have to do is listen.
Give us one final tip.
Sure. Oh, well, that's it. I was going to say listen. Listen is just so important, because when you listen to your customers and you get to learn a lot more. And they tell you the information. You said it. It's that spark, that conversation, that idea that gives you wouldn't be surprised just by listening.
And I'm going to say something to you. It just happened to me yesterday. A friend called me up. He lost his wife. She passed away after 50 years.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But what I found out, and I never thought of this of myself, he said, I want to talk to you because you're a good listener. I never thought of myself as a listener. I thought of myself as a talker. So, again, I found out something I didn't know about myself, and I think through your organization. I think that's great, Juan. I want to thank you so much for being with us today. I'd like our audience to know our guest has been Juan Videz. Yep. He is the principal and founder of Winning on Wednesday. If someone wants to find out more, how do they do that?
They go to my website, winningonwednesday.com, and we have all our social media platforms on our website. So you can follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all that's on our platform.
And all they have to think of is wow, and they'll remember Winning on Wednesday, WOW.
Or even better, just Google, put Winning on Wednesday.
Juan, thanks for being with us and taking time with us today. I'm Bill Horan. I'm here with Stacy Raine. We thank you for listening to this week's episode of My Hometown.
We like to get your feedback on My Hometown. Send your comments to WHPC@ncc.edu. Nassau Community College, where success starts and continues. Till next time, this is Bill St. James. And remember, there's no town like your hometown.